Want some? Get some. Can I get a hell yeah? Yes, I am a pirate. You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything. It's a pirate's life for me. Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirate.
It is a first down. Pirates.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. When you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there.
You live with Omaha? I can promise you that. And it's purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down of my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome in to the Sports Objective tonight as we are going to have a great time. It is getting closer and closer and closer to that kickoff on September 5th. We'll be talking about that in the great state of Alabama. Yes, I said that. I do love the state.
I do too, Dave.
Let's go now to a guy that does not like Alabama, Kyle from LaGrange Barber. So if you have any hate mail, send it to Kyle.
I used to talk to this girl from Alabama back in the day on the internet quite a bit. We talk on the phone some. She was pretty cool. Anyway, besides that, no, I don't have much love for the state of Alabama. But, yeah, looking forward to honestly getting it going and getting it over with. I'm ready for week 2 against App State.
Let's go to our coach, DG, our coach for the Sports Objective. He coached, it was 18 years, Stevie?
20.
I'm
20.
sorry. You know I was not good with math. That's why I'm a political science major. Stevie Fly, what's up, brother?
Kyle, you want to go to Greenbow, Alabama, like Forrest Gump?
I do, Bubba Gump. Well, I guess that doesn't work on this show to call you Bubba, but
yeah, don't call me Bubba on this show. I mean, that's. But yes, little off the cuff here. NFL finally wised up today and gets rid of the Pro Bowl. That was about 4 or 5 years too late. But these Pro Bowl games were ridiculous, and now it's just going to be an honor. But Pro Bowl had become a joke of what it was when I was a kid, when they actually cared about playing in it. So yeah, just a little NFL news because I know Kyle loves the NFL so much.
Yeah, one day he's going to love it. One day he will love it. All right, let's go now to Johnny Stats Robertson. Johnny, I've got a huge honor for you tonight. I want to tell you about. I have named the studio that we're in right now the Johnny Stats Robertson Studio.
No.
I did.
I don't know that I'm worthy of such an honor. Hey, Stevie, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, hey, I'm happy to hear that. I mean, since the Sean Taylor, I mean, that solidifies that Sean Taylor hit in the Pro Bowl will be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, the hit on the punter. I mean, yeah, that guy said he still has a jersey, and it's still, he took a piece off that jersey when he hit him too. Johnny on camera tonight. What's up with that? Go on, boy.
He knew they were going to honor him.
I ruined my camera on my other laptop. We tried to use it at Kent Island, and it wasn't working. So I got a new one. So here we go.
I got you, bud.
Last, but certainly not least, David Glenn. We have a legend in Eastern North Carolina radio. He's been around in radio for about 50 years. Maybe not that much. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Not quite that long.
Yeah. Alan Vick, you're getting close. How close are you to 5 decades?
I just hit 43 years.
I knew you were in the 4-decade mark. I'm in the 3-decade mark. So I started later than you did. So anyway, let's bring in our guest from the North Carolina Sports Network for the David Glenn Show. DG, I know you were out of the country, I believe, so we're glad to have you back. And when we see your face and it's late August, that means that we're happy because we're going to be talking football and not just the talking season. We're in the after the fall camp sort of thing. So how are you feeling about this season? We always like to ask you what your thoughts are going into each campaign, and now we're into 2026 for football.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, Blake Harrell's done a great job in his, year and a half as the head coach at ECU. Dal Loggins had a disappointing debut at App State last year, but he's got a Purdue transfer at quarterback that he thinks can help turn that program around. Obviously, all eyes are on Bill Belichick in year 2 at Carolina after last year's 4-8 debacle. Dave Doran said on my show that he wants to challenge for an ACC title, and he thinks this is the year. His own quarterback, C.J. Bailey, said essentially the same thing. The Wolfpack's target is an ACC title game trip and a college football playoff appearance. And Duke's coming off an ACC title, and Wake's coming off of 9 wins. So other than the Charlotte 49ers, who were horrific last year and may be bad again, I think there are 6 intriguing stories at the FBS level just here in the state of North Carolina. And obviously I love following the ACC and the national picture to a degree as well.
So, DG, when we have you here on the show, obviously, when we're talking about the Pirates, we had our media day on Saturday. I tell you what, ESPN has us predicted to go. You know how those things go, but
Power Index, ESPN
Power Index, 10-2. I've been saying for a long time, I've got them at 9-3. I think we have the Alabama loss and 2 conference losses. Just want to get your take out of the gate. How do you feel? I'm going to make you the prognosticator now for our team. How do you feel about the Pirates this year? Are you bullish or bearish?
I feel good about the Pirates. I think 9-3 is a fair guesstimate. I've been doing team-by-team previews at our website, ncsportsnetwork.com. I haven't finished all 7, but I include predictions with each of the 7 schools in our state and some of the ACC schools as well. And I think one of my highest win total predictions is for ECU. And, not many would pick an upset against Alabama, as you said. But just as I wrote about how ECU lost a whole lot of players, it's hard to lose 9 starters to the transfer portal. That's a hard number to digest. But most of the American Conference is dealing with similar attrition. Some guys leave for the NFL. Some guys are out of eligibility. And if you're in the American and some of those other group of 6 leagues, you just got to get used to the reality that not only are you going to continue to lose outgoing transfers, those numbers have been rising at ECU and more generally. So that's the negative, but the positive is the schedule is very manageable. And I think as long as ECU gets good quarterback play from either soon to be 25-year-old Mitch Griffiths that I saw as the starter at Wake Forest 3 years ago, or the Miami transfer, who I also know fairly well, because he was the backup for the Hurricanes 3 years in a row, Emory Williams. As long as that position, which, as you guys know better than I, has helped make ECU famous over the decades, it doesn't have to be elite, but it does have to be very good for the Pirates to put up, a 9 or 10 win total in the regular season. But if they can do that under a new offensive coordinator, with a new starting quarterback, with a new starting running back, with a new rebuilt offensive line, well, then that schedule suggests that great things are possible for ECU in 2026.
Yeah, Dave, DG, you talked about the attrition from the portal, but I think we did well in the portal. App State, I think, lost even more than we did to graduation into the portal. It's the nature of the beast of being a quote unquote group of 6 school, and you're feeding into the Power 4 schools, and it's just like some of the lower level Power 4 schools feed into higher level Power 4 schools. What does East Carolina got to do? And then we'll get back to the season. But what do you think East Carolina's got to do? One, to hang on to a couple more players. I don't know there's any more you can do. You're not going to outbid Power 4 schools, so kids just got to want to stay. And we had some of that this year with Brock Spalding. Help me out, guys. Defensive lineman.
Josiah.
J.R.R. buddy.
What? For what? I'm sorry, Kyle. I was
defensive lineman, East Carolina.
Defensive lineman.
White boy, big guy.
Oh, Preston Carr?
Preston Carr. Preston Carr, Brock Spalding, but that opportunities to leave and stayed. So, but my question is, what's East Carolina got to do to make sure when we lose players to the portal that we can continue to do well, take players from Sunbelt schools enter the portal, take players from Conference USA schools enter the portal, top level FCS guys. Obviously, you got to be able to. You're not going to outbid Power 4 schools that want them unless they just want a better chance to start. But if I'm Blake Harrell, I almost pitch when I'm out recruiting high school and when I'm in that portal. Hey, if you want to make it to the SEC or the Big Ten, come to East Carolina.
Well, here's what I would say, DG. To add to that, you can also say that if I'm, I'll pick on one of our newest commits, Jordan Matheson from Martin County, right here. I'm the voice of the Gators. So tomorrow night we're going to be at Bertie. Jordan Matheson, David, had 4 touchdowns this past weekend. He's a man among boys because of obviously his size. He's like 6'1", 210. You're the recruiting guru, DG, not me. However, 2 years ago, I saw this kid on our team, and I said, this guy, we got to get him from East Carolina. He was already showing signs of a D1 player. That was a huge pickup. But my point is that you can tell a guy like Jordan Matheson, hey, you want to go to the NFL, the next level, that's your dream, obviously. You can get a lot of playing time with us where you're not going to get in any of the other schools. We're going to pay you nicely. It may not be as much as the Alabamas of the world, but your stock will go up because you get the playing time, and that's a path you can go to the NFL, and you can start listing names of everybody that's played at East Carolina and they've gone on to the NFL. You don't have to just be in the P4 to make it to the NFL, is my point.
Yeah, you guys combined for a question there that really the answer is kind of nuanced. For example, Manny Diaz, the Duke coach, was asked about the outgoing transfer portal, and he basically said, well, it's not just our problem, it's everybody's problem. And I don't think that's an absolutely correct answer. And I think Manny's one of the smartest guys in the ACC. I have tremendous respect for him. But it is not a truly accurate answer to say, from the ACC perspective even, that it's the same for everybody. For example, Duke lost only 4 starters to the transfer portal from last year's ACC title team, but all 4 were all ACC guys. So it's not just a numbers game. If starters matter and all conference guys matter even more, right? Darian Mensah, all ACC quarterback, is starting at Miami instead of Duke. Cooper Barkate, all ACC wide receiver, is starting at Miami instead of Duke. 2 other guys are starting at other Power 4 schools instead of at Duke. But even within the ACC, and this is where the nuance comes in, and the answer to Kyle's question is that you want to be closer to what I'm about to say about Miami, and you want to be farther from what I'm about to say about the other end of the ACC. All these things are relative. It's not a black and white answer. It's shades of gray. The Miami Hurricanes lost how many players that they wanted to keep from last year's college football playoff team? Answer, 0. 0. Okay. NC State lost 5. Duke lost 4. Carolina lost 4 or 5. Wake lost 4 or 5. Florida State, which doesn't lack resources, lost 9 starters from last year's team. So just in the ACC, Manny Diaz is not going to tell me that that is just all the same. It's not all the same. If Miami's keeping everyone they want and Florida State's losing 9 starters and Duke's losing 4 all ACC guys, it's not the same. I understand what he's saying. It impacts everybody to some degree. But just as you'd rather be the Miami, SMU and Louisville hardly lost anybody they wanted to keep. Guess what? The top 3 preseason teams in the ACC are Miami, SMU, and Louisville. These things are not unrelated. So to get back to Kyle's question, as ECU, of course you're going to lose some starters, but you would have rather it been 4 starters to the portal 2 years ago, rather than in the first year of NCAA revenue sharing, where schools are allowed to pay their own athletes, that number jumped all the way to 9. Nobody can tell me that that is not a significant difference. It is.
Right.
And it's both accurate to say, hey, ECU to one degree or another has been a feeder system to the power schools forever. That is accurate. However, you'd rather be 4. You'd rather lose 4 starters to the portal than there were 12 starters with the option to return to the Pirates, and 9 of the 12 decided to leave. That's 75%. That hurts. So compare yourselves to the other teams in your league. Army and Navy are different because they don't have a lot of incoming transfers. They don't have a lot of outgoing transfers. They're a whole different animal as military academies. But compare yourself to everybody else, right? What are their budgets? What's their name, image, likeness, impact? How many starters are they losing from year to year? That's the answer. And whereas I have all 17 of those numbers for the ACC schools, I don't have every answer to every school. So I don't know exactly where the Pirates fit in that pecking order, but I'd rather lose 4 starters. You know, Blake Harrell lost only 4 starters to the transfer portal the year before. He had a really impressive 9-win season. How's he going to do on the field the year after he lost 9 starters? We'll see. But I agree with Kyle's point. When you can look down the ladder, that guy that you got from Kennesaw State was a really good player. That guy from Southern Miss was a 3-year starter. I actually document all of these details in my ECU preview that's available right now at ncsportsnetwork.com. I give the details of every significant outgoing transfer, every significant incoming transfer, and obviously some of the old rules of thumb matter too. Like, you got to be good at talent evaluation. It's not just looking at all conference rosters and throwing money at people. You got to know who fits your system, who fits the character of your program. All that's been around forever. And those things don't stop mattering. It's just a whole different set of rules with revenue sharing and name, image, likeness. And I think the group of 6 are even more extremely feeder systems for the Power 4 leagues, as some call them, than they have been in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I will point this out, and it was still kind of, my question really is, I don't know what you can do about losing them. It's about I want to be the group of 6 school, or one of the group of 6 schools to come to make it to the SEC, both for high school and out of the portal and the Big Ten, and the high level ACC schools, Miami, Clemson. But the other thing I will point out, when you mentioned all the transfers we lost, and to be fair to your point, I think it's 70%, 75%, JR, Johnny Stats, of the American of the All American Conference players from last year that were all conference are gone. They've transferred. So from the whole league. But I will point this out. We lost our OC, and most of those guys who transferred out of here were on the offensive side of the ball, and most of them left after JDB left. Not too many guys left from the defensive side of the ball. Did we lose anybody to the portal on the defensive side of the ball? Obviously, we did the graduation.
Jamarly Riddle was the first team All-American safety.
Yes, Riddle. Yes, thank you. I forgot Riddle. But besides that, defense pretty much stayed intact. And I'm sure it's on your preview, while we lost quite a few starters on defense, we play so many damn guys on defense. We rotate so heavy on the D-line and linebackers. We have a lot of returners.
We have 13
significant playing time on that side of the ball. But but to your point, I do agree with you, and I think some fans are going to get mad about it. And but it's factual, but it's not just an East Carolina problem, and that's the thing that I want to hammer home to everybody listening. It is a group of 6 problem. App lost even more than we did. ODU lost quite a bit. Teams that are on our schedule. The rest of the conference, the American, we're all in the same boat. North Texas, I'm not sure they have anybody left. Half of their guys are in Greenville now. Well, 3 of them. So it's a problem that you're going to deal with from the group of 6, just like the FCS. Is dealing with. It's like it's a level. It's a level. It's like it's almost become single A, double A, triple A. MLB is really what it's like.
Kyle, it reminds me of what we've said about coaches for a long time, which is you'd rather have a great coach who gets phone calls from other schools than a lousy coach that nobody ever calls, right?
Exactly.
I mean, 4 American Conference head coaches left this league just in the past cycle. 4 guys left for the Power 4. So who knows how Blake Harrell will react if he becomes one of those guys whose phone keeps ringing. But it's great news that Blake Harrell is winning at a high level. And it's great news that ECU can turn a negative into a positive, as you're suggesting, Kyle, by saying, we lost 9 starters. Nobody loves that number. Nobody loves to hear that 75% of the guys who started and could have stayed left. But you can turn that negative into, hey, what you guys are both suggesting. Come to ECU. We get you to the next level of college football. And, oh, by the way, while you're here, you might win a lot of games and compete for a conference championship. And coming here, the kid who just transferred to App State, his name is Malachi Singleton. They're kind of hitching their wagon to this one quarterback.
That's the Purdue quarterback?
He sat for 3 years. So he spent 2 years at Arkansas, 1 year at Purdue. He was a prep All-American in the state of Georgia.
Okay, I need them up.
And Malachi Singleton basically said, man, I'm tired of not being sure if I'm going to get playing time in the SEC or the Big Ten. And in his case, he reached straight for the Power 4 job, and he's now in his 4th year of college, still waiting to be a starting quarterback. Now, Dial Loggins at App State said, you're my guy. And he's not only the starter, he's a team captain, and they are all in on this guy. But, yes, Blake Harrell and his staff can say, come here. You don't have to trust us. Look at all these guys we've sent to Power 4 programs on both sides of the ball. And win while you're here. Live in a great place that cares a lot about college football. If you like it here, stay. If you want to try the next level, try it. We'll support you. But let's win and have fun in the meantime. And that's, it's not like they're going to be new baskets of NIL money or revenue sharing money. The ECU can keep trying in those areas, but you're never going to compete for most guys with those Power 4 money bags. And that's just the new reality. The Charlotte 49ers, by the way, you know why they didn't lose a lot of starters? Because nobody wanted their starters. Seriously. I mean, I'm not even making a joke. It's just like they didn't have much to pick over.
It's true. But I want to ask you, since you brought it up, and then I'll shut up for a minute and let somebody else talk. Malachi for App State, I know he's a dual threat guy. He has a reputation of really making plays happen with his legs. How good do you think he is?
I'm not sure. In other words, it's not a sure thing. I'll say that. I mean, Purdue was yes, a Big Ten program, obviously, but not a good Big Ten program.
Correct.
So he not only didn't win the starting job, he didn't play a lot. Malachi Singleton's in his 4th year of college, and I don't think he's thrown but 100 passes in 3 years, combining Arkansas and Purdue. So I don't remember all of who his competition was at Arkansas, but Purdue did not have a standout quarterback last year. So how does he is a good athlete. You're absolutely right about that. The guy was, the number 5 dual threat quarterback coming out of high school 3 years ago, I guess it was. And so he has talent. And Dial Loggins, by the way, the App State head coach, that guy has been an offensive coordinator for 4 different NFL teams, and he's only 45 years old. He is known as a quarterback's guru.
Wasn't he at Arkansas when
he had spent time at Arkansas? He spent a ton of time in the NFL. If you've been a 4-time NFL offensive coordinator by the age of 45, you deserve the label of offensive guru. And he did great things at the college level at South Carolina. Remember,
but was he the OC at Arkansas when Singleton was there?
I'm not sure about that, but he was the OC when Spencer Rattler was at South Carolina, and then Linares right after him. So he did really good jobs with 2 straight quarterbacks who were best under Dial Loggins. So maybe there's some magic there when Singleton and Loggins get together, because App State, they won 4 straight Sun Belt titles not too long ago, but they've been in a rut for a little bit here, and they hired Dial Loggins to allow for some offensive fireworks, and they were not good offensively last year. So that's why, whereas ECU has a better all-around depth chart, I think the Mountaineers are pushing all their chips in on Malachi Singleton at quarterback.
I will say one more thing, and then I promise I'll shut up, JR. I want to piggyback off this. App opens up with Maine. We open up with Alabama. I'm of the opinion that they're in the better situation for the opening game. I think they have a better chance to get their offense going with a new quarterback than we do against Bama. And then some people argue, well, yeah, but you get tested against Bama. In the situation that we're in, and situations App's in your opinion, would you rather open up with somebody like Alabama or somebody like Maine?
It's a great question. I don't know if I have a strong opinion about that. I have a strong opinion about this. I'd rather be ECU than App State, just because I know both depth.
Any day.
I know both depth charts, and the Pirates just have a lot more talent in a lot more places. But that's a great question. Philosophically, you worry about getting guys hurt against Alabama. We all know the chances of winning are incredibly slim. I don't know. I'm sure some veteran coaches would have a strong opinion about that. I'm kind of open-minded, and I would defer to anybody who's kind of studied such things. In today's world, somebody's researched whether it's better to play the powerhouse or the cupcake, and I'm not sure of the answer.
I just think with breaking in a new quarterback and breaking in a new offense and being the Pirates in that meet in week 2, it just gives you a bigger advantage to figure out who you are against Maine versus against Alabama. Now, the one caveat I would say for that, if you do something well against Alabama, you're probably going to be able to do it well against anybody.
This is true. Well, heck, I mean, ECU's players are going to have a nice adjustment when they get to App State. Wow, these guys aren't as big. They're not as fast. They're not as strong. App State's going to have a rough adjustment when they get to the Pirates. So, we could make an argument either way. I think health is the number one concern. I mean, you just don't want to lose anybody against Alabama. You got to play hard. You got to try to run your game plan. But we all know that's an extreme uphill battle. But yeah, it's as you said earlier, it's a new offensive coordinator, a new starting quarterback, a new starting running back. What is it? 3 new starters on the offensive line, new wideouts. Man, offense is so much about timing that even though it is Alabama, it's an important step for the Pirates, even if they lose the game. Defense is obviously, you got to communicate there too, but offense is a more delicate thing. And the Pirates are just new almost everywhere. And that's, I believe Blake Harrell will come up with another good defense, even under a new coordinator on that side of the ball, because he's Mr. Defense. Whereas the offense is harder to predict, I think, at ECU this year. It starts with quarterback, but there's a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah, I think we found out too, Kyle, at Media Day. I don't think it's not like, yes, there's differences in the offense, but it's not so much different in that the personnel that we have can pull it off. They certainly can. Offense,
well, what do you mean not so much different?
Well, I think you're talking about
because we're not going
75%.
Yeah.
Well, you so much different than what we ran last year?
It's not.
Well,
no,
Brad
it's not like
Spalding says it's not.
No.
What does it matter? Those guys aren't here.
Brock Spalding's here.
Well,
we have people that are here. We also have people that are used to running that offense. So I'm telling you that it's.
Yeah, no, we do have two. We do have 2 transfers that'll be playing with Ashton Gray and Landon Sides that know the offense, and I do think that's a huge advantage having both those 2.
By the way, I think it helps too that the new defensive coordinators from Memphis brought 2 defensive players with them. The new offensive coordinator from North Texas brought 2 of his offensive guys. Coaches make talent evaluation mistakes all the time, especially in the speed dating aspect of the transfer portal. You know who they almost never misevaluate? Their own guys.
Yeah.
If you're the Memphis defensive coordinator, you know whether that guy's what his work ethic is, what he eats, what he is academically, what his attitude is. You know everything about that guy because you just spent at least a year or longer with him. You look at what Kurt Signetti did. Did he know which guys to bring to Indiana from James Madison? Holy cow. I mean, he built a mini dynasty off of those right decisions. So I thought it was a nice touch. Both Blake Harrell saying he wanted coordinators who were familiar with the American Conference, familiar with ECU, familiar with recruiting to the American. And then it was icing on the cake when each of those 2 new coordinators brought 2 quality players with them.
No doubt. I think we're going to be okay. And, to Kyle's point, to be fair to Kyle, yes, the offense takes longer than the defense, but the defense is going to keep you in the games. I like the fact that we've had a running game for the last few years that we had been struggling. I think with Blake Harrell has done a nice job with relating to the players. We all like Mike Houston. Mike Houston was not relating to the players. He lost the locker room. DG, when I was at that Charlotte game, it was like a funeral. It was like a funeral, and it was a funeral for Mike Houston. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of people, and I didn't say it publicly, we all knew that they basically were going to fire him after that game. And some people said, no, we'll give him one more game. That was at Army. The first time we'd ever lost to Army. Mike Houston, as you know, DG, never beat anybody in the state. No in-state opponent we ever beat. So not making a Mike Houston rabbit hole going down. My point to say all that is that Blake Harrell's come in. He has the best record, I think, is that right, Johnny, in the history of our program as far as winning percentage. He's 14-5 of his first 19 games. You have to go all the way back. I said this previously with you, DG, to the 1940s, right, Johnny? Around World War II, we had John Christenberry, a coach who coached football, basketball, and baseball. And when they shut down the program because of World War II, that was pretty much it. But, I mean, that's how far you have to go back. I mean, what program has a guy coaching 3 sports?
That's an impressive number. I mean, you know, some of the sum total statistics are weird because we play more games now than we did in the, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago. But percentage stats matter a lot. So if Blake Harrell's winning percentage through 19 games as a head coach stands out to that degree, that's a heck of a statement over more than a half century.
What is it higher than I can't ever remember anybody's name when I'm on the air. I swear to God, I can't say it. So higher than Pat Dye's?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Sometime last season he passed Pat Dye because I was just curious. It's one of those things. I had a DG moment where DG does way more research than I'll ever do in my life. But I just said, what is going on here? There's something about this winning percentage thing. And I started looking, and I followed it every week, and he just started climbing up. You think about Pat Dye, Steve Logan, you think about Skip Holtz, even Ruffin. We've had some really good coaches at East Carolina that did well, and he just kept passing them and passing them and passing them. And I know Mike Houston led us, like he had us in the right direction, but that going back to DG's point, things were going well until we didn't have a quarterback in 23. 23, that 2-10 season was disastrous. That really killed Mike Houston. But anyway, yes, he's been able to cut practices shorter. He relates to the players better, that being Blake Harrell. I'm a huge fan. I know the guys are. When Blake Harrell does a press conference after Memphis, I was trying to remember that game and it just came to me. So he's had that moment as a coach, and he's doing the post-game press conference. As he's walking out of the team room, he starts talking. You remember that, Alan? He starts talking to all the media as if we're his best friends, not the usual coach, like that game face kind of coach kind of thing and standoffish.
Yeah, but Blake's a very likable guy. I mean, I compared him. When he got the interim job and I saw his first press conference, I said, hide and watch. And the reason was he reminds me of Ruffin McNeil. And they're very similar backgrounds, defensive-minded guys who let their OCs be wide open. I mean, it's literally and player-friendly. It's literally like Blake Harrell just said, I'm going to do the Ruffin McNeil playbook. I'm going to, and Blake concentrates more on defense than Ruffin did when he was here as head coach. But in terms of personality and letting his OC be wide open and do their things, yeah, Blake's very much like Ruffin.
Can I throw in 2 crazy facts for you, just because it's in the context of Blake Harrell's track record?
Please do.
So this blew my mind, and I've been at this for 40 years. Okay, so we just talked about Blake Harrell at 14-5, which is a wonderful winning percentage, whatever that is, over 70%. In the history of Wake Forest's time in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So the ACC was born in the 1950s, okay? That means that Wake has been a member of the ACC for more than 70 years. Wait for this. No head coach has ever finished his career at Wake Forest with a winning record.
Wow.
That over 70-plus years.
Wow.
I mean, Jim Grobe let him do an ACC championship 20 years ago. Dave Clawson was a heck of a coach, and others. Not one. Jake Dickert just went 9-4 last year, which is why it's an intriguing. If he retired right now, he'd be the first one to leave Wake with a winning record. But
you think he's gone? I don't mean to interrupt you, Dave, but you think he's gone if he wins 9 or 10 games again this year?
Good this year.
Okay.
So we'll see. I think they'll be a bowl team again, but I don't think they'll knock on the door of 9 wins again. But the other crazy fact, Dave Doran, over 14 years now at NC State, has become the winningest coach in the history of Wolfpack football. Okay. 95, I think, career wins. In his entire Wolfpack tenure, his conference record is a losing record.
Wow.
He was 0-8 the first year, right, DG?
Correct.
4-8 overall.
Blake Harrell's 10-3 in the American Conference. 10-3. That's another nice percentage. So Dave Doran, the winningest in the history of Wolfpack football in total wins, sub 500 in ACC competition. Those two facts just blow my mind because we all know that no matter how good you are overall,
it almost seems impossible.
It does. If both of them sound, trust me, I'm such a accuracy geek. I quadruple checked both of those facts. And it's just hard to believe that they're both true, but it shows how hard it is to win consistently at Wake Forest, obviously. And it reflects where NC State has been, a school that hasn't won an ACC title since 1979.
Right.
So even though Dave Doran has a whole bunch of 9-win seasons, 8-win seasons, most of those are because he goes 4-0 in non-conference play and maybe 4-4 in conference play or something of that sort. So anyway, not directly on the ECU, but it provides context to the unusual nature of both Blake Harrell's overall winning percentage and conference winning percentage. It's hard to sustain numbers in the 70 or so percent. So if he can do it, man, more power to him. It's not easy.
Hey, DG, how about this? And you know the answer to this, but with Duke, they shared a title with Virginia in 1989. They make the title game, and of course, they're going to lose to Florida State. I mean, that was a great team in 2013 with Jimbo Fisher, and then they win it last year. And everybody can say whatever they want to, but Duke has won 2 championships. That's just mind-boggling to think about. NC State with Phillip Rivers, Torrey Holt. Think about all the talent they've had over the years. And I know that there's the Florida State factor. But think about all the years before Florida State that they could have potentially won it.
Hey, look, here's another way to put it, Dave. Duke has 2 ACC football titles. Wake Forest has 1 ACC football title since either Carolina or NC State has won an ACC football title. Because Carolina hasn't done it since 1980 and NC State 79. So, man, that's a long time ago now, man.
I was in
we're talking about we're coming up on a half century. Now we're not far from a half century since either the Wolfpack or the Tar Heels have won an ACC football championship.
That's crazy. I was at Holt Elementary School in Durham, North Carolina, in northern Durham, the last time that they won. I remember when they won. Wow. But I don't pull for those schools. I'm not trying to bash them or anything. But as far as East Carolina is concerned, one of the things I've talked about, DG, by the way, and we can talk ACC in a little while, is the fact with East Carolina, we have the indoor practice facility now. And Johnny and I were together last year, and Johnny can back me up, and I think Alan. But we had a coach, and we asked him, how important is the indoor practice facility at last year's media day? It's not about the practice facility. It's that all the other schools that we've talked about and more from the Group of 6 and Power 4 could say, hey, East Carolina don't have an indoor practice facility. We do. Do you remember that, Johnny?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Last year. Yeah, we did. And so that thing, by the way, DG, is right up there with NC State, North Carolina. I mean, it's really impressive. We used to joke about it on the show. It kept going up in the price, but the $26 million, not to pick on UAB, but the picnic shelter they have, it is really, really nice. And my point to saying all this is Kyle and I've talked about this for a few years now. With the third base expansion for baseball, with the indoor practice facility that we finally have, everybody laughs at me, but we're going to have the guts and the balls to say, we need $20 million a year. If you can get $5, $10, $20, $100, like a damn telethon, radiothon, whatever, but we need $20 million a year if we want to win conference championships. I'm not talking about, when people say me being delusional, that's for the American Conference. That's the Memphis of the world. That's how we compete against USF. I'm not talking about DG. I don't know if we talked about last time, but LSU has a payroll north of $50 million. It's like 54.
We're not that far from 20. We can get to 20. We're around 15 or 16. So we can get to 20. Memphis is at 20. And I really think that's it. I think South Florida is planning on going to 20 and which is what our league cap is. So we're not that far away.
I know. I'm just saying that my point is when everybody talks about poor mouthing and all that, if you want your team to win, it doesn't matter how we feel about it. What it amounts to is this is legal now to pay players. And David,
and Gilbert, and this is probably something. And by the way, I want to say this, and Dave, probably mean you need to shut up for a minute, and let JR and Allen talk.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
The John Gilbert, by the way, I want to say this. Hopefully it gets back to John, because God knows I'm critical of him. The best interview he's ever done. If you haven't listened to it, go over to Interbags Media, the IBX app.
Yeah.
I'm promoting them for free, and listen to Igo's Hoist the Color show from yesterday. The interview with John Gilbert. I think it's the best interview he's ever done. He was candid. He said things that actually got you fired up, and he's not a rah-rah guy. And he talked about, how he's trying to get Mr. Beast involved is actually with basketball. He talked about how we're going to do a 50-50 raffle every game to raise money.
We've been talking about that for 3 years.
Yeah, I know. I think they stole our idea. That's fine. I don't need credit. He's got to make sure it's in North Carolina law. He talks about, all the ECU credit card that's coming out. All these different ideas that he's coming up with, or I don't know if he's coming up with them personally, but to raise revenue non-traditionally. And I think as an East Carolina and other group of 6 schools, that's what you got to do. You got to come up with ideas like a credit card, where that ECU credit card where a certain percentage goes to revenue sharing, where, the 50-50 raffle and all that's going to go to revenue sharing and stuff like that.
Yeah, playing Wake Forest, make sure, because they canceled a game, make sure all that money goes to revenue sharing that we get for playing them. Because anyway, I think that was a mistake. But anyway,
it's not his fault that
I'm not blaming Gilbert.
But I wouldn't have kept the game in Winston-Salem just out of purpose. I think it sets a bad precedence. But
because now Wake Forest can say we're never coming to Greenville anymore.
Well, they're not coming to Greenville anyway. But I think now NC State and UNC will use that
the person that we need to blame. And I know, David, you probably have a personal relationship, but with Jim Phillips, I mean, I'm sorry, but East Carolina and Appalachian State make a lot of money. East Carolina, NC State make a lot of money. Any of the in-state schools, I think it's a good thing. I do think the one thing I will tell, and I hadn't heard the interview, so forgive me, John Gilbert, if you did talk about this, but I'm a political guy, and I'm going to the state. I am going to the state legislature, and I'm going to say, you remember what we did that in the 90s? It's not the same thing, but we need to be on a 3-year rotation. Duke and Wake Forest are private schools, but the state-supported schools need to play each other. Economically, Greenville makes like $4 million on a home game. Okay, $4 million. That's from the president of the chamber, not David just making up stats. So $4 million for every home game. Think about that. If we don't have home games, think about when we have NC States, the North Carolinas of the world. That helps us out in Greenville, North Carolina, even more so than just talking about a rivalry game. Sorry, JR, I'll let you take it over. I'm getting passionate now.
No big deal. I did want to ask David about high school recruiting in North Carolina. It seems like Bill Belichick is not really interested too much in North Carolina high school. I guess, if he can't get one of the top 10, he just folds up his tent. But East Carolina's doing the opposite. They're really concentrating on North Carolina, especially Eastern North Carolina. And the class of 27, 9 of East Carolina's 19 recruits are from the state of North Carolina. UNC has 0 out of their 17. NC State 6 of 19, which isn't bad, and Duke is 4 of 19. But I mean, in the last 2 seasons, East Carolina's at 37.8% of their recruits are from North Carolina. UNC's 8.7 with 5 of 57. What do you read into that as far as recruiting North Carolina?
Well, as a head coach, you can either tell your staff that it is a priority to recruit in-state because high school coaches matter and those relationships matter and how moms and dads and neighbors view your program matters. Or you can say, just bring me the best players, regardless of where they're from. or you can say some middle version of that, and some coaches do this. Bring me the best players you can find within a 6-hour radius of campus, and then sometimes they'll carve out some other places like South Florida or some other football hotbed just to supplement that. And I think Bill Belichick, given that he's an NFL coach whose only tie to UNC was back when his dad was an assistant coach there before any of us was born. He's a man who's 74 years old. So it's not like he's planting seeds for the long run the way I remember in the 1990s, Mac Brown emphasized high school relations. He even had like a director of high school relations.
Yep.
And in some cases, he would say, if these two recruits are similar, if you're the wide receivers coach and this wide receiver in the Charlotte area is just as good as this other guy we're recruiting, I want you to lean on that guy closer to home, because Mac believed that bigger picture mattered. And Mac is one of the greatest in-state recruiters we've ever had. And Chuck Amato did his thing at NC State for a while. Mac Brown did his thing at Carolina, both part one of Mac and part two of Mac, actually. Guys like Sam Howell, in-state guys, right? So I just don't think Belichick cares about that stuff. He doesn't care about his relationships with the media. He doesn't care about his relationships really with boosters to a great degree. He's been late for booster events. He's no-showed for booster events. I might have told you guys this story before, but I'm an MC of a charitable event. I've done it probably 15 times in 25 years. No coach, and the ECU coaches are represented every single year. It's called the Pigskin Preview in the Triangle.
And
so 20-plus years, 5 different schools. That's a lot of coaches showing up on time, okay? One coach in 25 years has ever been late for that event, and his name is Bill Belichick, and he's done it twice now, and he's only been invited twice.
That's an ego.
I had a ballroom full of people waiting 30 minutes to kick off an event. All the other coaches are up on stage with me or ready to get up there with me. We've raised $500,000 so that people in Pitt County, Durham County, Orange County, Wake County, young people who aspire to the next level, who have made a name for themselves in the classroom, on the field, and in the community, $500,000 we've raised for that. It's not about me. I'll be the MC. I'll juggle or dance for 30 minutes if I have to raise enough money. But there's a lot that goes into this stuff. And if Bill Belichick doesn't care about showing up to UNC booster events on time, or going to these events where I'm seeing, and some people have paid $10,000 a table, and he doesn't care if he's on time for those, he doesn't care about high school relations. He doesn't. He knows he's got one foot out the door, whether that's 1 year from now or 3 or 4 years from now. He doesn't have to worry about what is left in his wake. That's going to be up to UNC's next coach to repair those high school relationships, which, by the way, Mac Brown did in the 1990s. A guy named Dick Crum at UNC had some success, but alienated a lot of in-state high school coaches. So his successor inherited a bunch of bad relationships. Now, Mac Brown gradually repaired those relationships, but that stuff matters. And we all know in today's day and age, although Bill Belichick is signing a lot of high school players, that number is still pretty large. He's just not signing many in-state players. And I think that's because he's telling his staff that just bring me guys that can help from wherever you find them. Whereas, no doubt, Dave Doran at NC State has had, to a degree, an in-state focus. Duke and Wake have never been super focused on in-state. They consider themselves, international universities, private universities. They believe they have to recruit more regionally and nationally, which I understand. But the in-state schools, the public universities, it's really unusual to just kind of put your nose in the air and not recruit in-state prospects. But that's what Dick Crum did a long time ago at Carolina. And that's what Bill Belichick's doing right now.
I got to defend Belichick on 2 things here. One for the Pigskin Preview in the Triangle. I have it on good authority that he took his Cialis, and it has within 24 hours to kick in, and that's when it kicked in, and so he had to spend some time with Jordan while he could. And the other, for recruiting North Carolina high schools, he's actually got a restraining order where he can't come within 10 feet of any North Carolina high schools. So that's why.
Wow.
Hey, if there was ever a good excuse to be late for a charity event, that would be it.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. And look, I don't hate on him for that. People that hate on him for that, I do hate on for her being on the sideline and being such a centerpiece. But if I was a 70-some-year-old multimillionaire, I'd be doing the same thing.
Well, for me, I will say this: I know a number of Chapel Hill grads, UNC, and I can't think of one that I'm close to that likes the Belichick hire. In fact, Kyle's mentioned many times that he's right, and you can probably back it up, David, that it's all these boosters who thought that it was a great idea.
Yeah, that was not Bubba Cunningham's hire. I do not believe that.
No.
It was a renegade board of trustee chairman who no longer has his job and got reprimanded for stepping out of his lane and doing things he should not have done and trying to become the point person on hiring Bill Belichick. Man's name is John Pryor. But once he got Belichick engaged, then other people got excited about it. And Bubba Cunningham's running a more traditional search and kind of got squashed in the process. So I'll say this. It's hard to quantify this, but a majority of Carolina fans, I believe, this is just from memory, were excited about the Belichick hire. Now, if you took that same poll today, it would be a minority that's still excited about the Belichick hire. But I remember doing man on the street interviews before that opener against TCU just 1 year ago at this very time. And I got predictions of 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins. And they were asking me my opinion. And I said, you're going to be lucky if you win 4.
DG, let me ask you a question.
And last year, won 4.
Last year when UNC opened the season with Texas Christian destroyed them. I have no doubt in my mind if ECU played UNC last year in that opening game, we'd have beat them too. Would Belichick have got fired after game 1? It'd have been ECU instead of TCU.
No, because too much was invested.
Yeah,
and at that point, Kyle, the buyout would have been $30 million instead of $10 million.
Yeah,
but that would have been if we opened up with NC State, it would have just been the greatest thing ever had it been East Carolina opening at UNC last year. It would have been probably the one of the funniest moments in North Carolina sports history.
By the way, DG, to add to Kyle's point, and I'm not going to steal his line, but there's 2 kinds of North Carolina fans, and this is not a joke. There's the people that actually graduated there, and there's the Walmart Carolina Tar Heel fans. The Walmart Tar Heel fans may have thought that Belichick was a great hire, but I'm telling you, there were a lot of people, and maybe because of his time as the NFL, they didn't like him. And then, you're coming to UNC. Like, they were just really, and I don't know like thousands of North Carolina graduates, but I know a number of them, and they were, I don't want to say their names, but they were, to be blunt, they were very pissed. And they said, this is not going to go well. All of a sudden, UNC has become a joke. I'm paraphrasing, it's not exact words, but that's pretty much the gist of many conversations I had with different Carolina people. Including some that I work with that are a lot older than I am, that are like my parents' age, that were really upset as well.
It was harder to find those folks last July and August. It became easier to find them in September, October, November, December.
I remember that first drive, they score a touchdown. Michael Jordan is high-fiving. Everything is great. And then
I was in that stadium. It was rocking. It was a rocking stadium, pre-game, early game. And then literally I watched 30,000 people walk out of that stadium. Seriously. During
like
the game.
It was right. Wasn't like halftime like that. The number of crowd just really dwindled.
Yeah.
Well, so I know that we've been talking a lot about UNC for our ECU people that are watching. So, but David is obviously.
Well, we'll finish the UNC discussion.
Okay.
They open up with TCU this weekend. It's week 0.
Oh yeah.
So you in Dublin, Ireland. I think everybody's taking the Frogs. I forgot what the spread is. I don't know if you know what DG.
It was a touchdown last week. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah,
a week ago.
Well, what percentage? If you had to put a percentage on it, would you give UNC a chance to beat TCU in week 0?
I'd probably put a 10 to 20% chance on it.
And looking at Carolina, what do you think their strength is? Is it going to be defense again this year? What are they going to hang their hat on? I mean, I do like Bobby. Let me rephrase that. Nobody likes Bobby Petrino. I do think Bobby Petrino is a great offensive mind.
Agree.
And you like his girlfriends too, right, Kyle?
I tell you what, for as much heat as he got for that secretary, the young lady at Arkansas, she was a smoke show. But
just don't wreck your motorcycle.
Yeah, but no, I look forward to week 0, and with Carolina at TCU, I think TCU is going to. I think the game's going to be closer than last year's game, but I think it's going to be the same result.
Yeah, Carolina believed that defense. Well, last year the offense was an embarrassment. The defense was mostly competitive, with the exception of a few games, and they really thought that the defense would be kind of the starting point of their success to whatever degree they have this year. But Bill Belichick's son, Steve, who's his defensive coordinator, is on an indefinite medical leave. So imagine not having your defensive coordinator coaching in practice every day or in Ireland on Saturday, the unit that you expect to be the foundation of your success. To me, that's a red flag. And Carolina has some good players on both sides of the ball. Jordan Shipp at wide receiver. Damon June is an in-state guy who's a running back. On defense, Jaden Patterson in the secondary. A guy named Melkart Abujade was one of the best defensive ends in the ACC last year. They have a couple of transfer linebackers that they really like. Personnel-wise, I think UNC has more confidence in its defense for the second year in a row. But I don't know how you quantify the loss of your coordinator. I mean, this is a guy who helped pick personnel. This is the guy who ran spring practice. This is the guy who's sorted the depth chart. And then he disappeared during August practice for an unspecified medical reasons. And he's not coming back for TCU. So there's enough red flags that UNC's offensive line is rebuilt, and I don't think it's going to be good again for the second year in a row. So those two red flags to me are why TCU should be the favorite and probably will win this game.
Yeah. The Tar Heels have a great home schedule this year. Notre Dame, Miami, Louisville, and they got State at home. It's just too bad they don't really have the team to take advantage of it, at least not that it appears.
Yeah, that is a nice home schedule, and that's if you have a competitive football team, not even great. If you're just competitive, that's entertainment, right? I mean, Miami's coming off the national championship game appearance. Notre Dame has been very good under its current coach. NC State's beaten the Tar Heels 5 times in a row head-to-head, and there are other intriguing visitors to Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill. But I've said all along, remember, Carolina's record was 4-8 last year. I believe they could be a better football team, far more competitive, and still finish 4-8 again. And part of the reason for that is the schedule you just described.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to go to Clemson and beat Clemson. You're going to beat Miami or Notre Dame. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to beat TCU. So there's 4 losses. Can you go 4-4 against the other 8? If you do, you're stuck right back at 4-8 again, even if you're a better team, which, again, I think they will be. Their quarterback, a year ago, their quarterback didn't even go through spring practice. I mean, they couldn't run player-led drills in the summer at UNC a year ago because they didn't have people who knew the offense and defense. Player-led means no coaches around.
Yeah.
If there's 130 whatever FBS programs, I promise you there's 130 some doing player-led workouts in the summer. UNC didn't do any last summer. They did this summer because Billy Edwards, their new quarterback, went through spring practice. He's 23 years old. He's a 60-year senior, and he knew the offense of Bobby Petrino well enough to gather players together and do 7-on-7 drills, and the linemen do their thing over here. So enough guys on both sides of the ball knew the schemes. There's a 3-month gap, roughly, between the end of spring practice and the start of preseason practice. 3 months. And there's limited things coaches are allowed to do, video study and some other, strength and conditioning, obviously. But there's strict limits on true coaching for that 3-month period. And Carolina took a 0 in that last year. They at least are a functional enterprise this time with the same summer workouts everybody else has. But again, does that lead to more victories? It's not impossible because there's plenty of ACC teams that are very beatable, but I wouldn't bet on it for Bill Belichick in year 2.
What would happen? How would it reflect on Belichick if Gio Lopez goes to Wake and blows up this year. Has just a great
horrifically,
season.
horrifically bad. Well, and you raise an interesting point here because I'm a believer that if Bill Belichick somehow gets to a bowl game, all these other questions we're asking won't matter, right? Because a bowl game would at least be a sign of progress in the win column and perception-wise, et cetera. But what happens if you go 4-8 a second year in a row is all these other questions get magnified. Why was Gio so bad at Carolina if he was very good at South Alabama beforehand and if he turns out to be really good at Wake Forest afterward? And by the way, Gio Lopez has his South Alabama offensive coordinator at Wake Forest right now.
Oh, wow.
Same guy.
He's ready to roll.
And they're going to ask, why is your general manager on administrative leave? Mike Lombardi is Bill Belichick's general manager. What's up with your son? Is there something we should be concerned about? Is it just a typical medical condition? Or is there something that raises questions about Bill Belichick's judgment hiring Mike Lombardi as a GM, his own son as the defensive coordinator? Freddie Kitchens turned out to be a horrifically bad offensive coordinator last year. If you're both losing on the field and the administration believes you've got too much of a circus sideshow or bad decisions with your GM, your defensive coordinator, your first offensive coordinator, that's when you know you're done. Because, again, you can win and get away with all those things.
Rob Dietrich.
You can't go 4-8 and get away with those things.
Dave, put Rob Dietrich's question on the screen. I think I know the answer, but I do think it's an interesting question.
I was going to say, by the way, really quick, to add to your point, DG, on that, I got a case study for you. Bobby Knight, when he was winning national championships, his last Final Four was 92 against Duke in that game, and he lost it against Krzyzewski, his protege. But just notice, if you don't believe me, he was winning national championships. He won 3, had the undefeated season, doing a lot of great things. He was doing all that stuff back in the day. But when he started losing, then they started paying attention to his behavior, what he was doing to his players. I've always said that the Bobby Knights of the world, enjoy the ride when they're winning, but they're not. Then all of a sudden that stuff is going to be exposed. I bring that up for the Michael Lombardi question because if Bill Belichick was winning, then probably people wouldn't be paying attention to what was going on with Michael Lombardi, whatever that is. But since they're not winning and it's a train wreck, I'm looking at, does that mean that they can fire him with cause? I want to ask that, and I'll put it up, I promise, his question.
Firing somebody with cause is difficult. It can't, you don't, for those who don't know, firing somebody without cause is just like, you lose too many games. And in that case, you get your buyout money. If you fire somebody with cause, they don't get their buyout money. But with cause can be a high bar. Like if you're found not just violating an NCAA rule, but massive violations of NCAA rules, serious human resources violations, or being accused of serious crimes, away from the field or whatever. There are ways to trigger getting fired with cause, but bad hiring decisions does not rise to that level. Losing too many games does not rise to that level. Having a young girlfriend has nothing to do with it. If all your coordinator hires were horrible and your GM got into trouble, those do not get UNC off the buyout hook. It would have to be something far more serious than any of those things.
Like a cheating scandal, or I'm not trying to make it be.
A cheating scandal that you can trace in part to the head coach himself.
How in the hell do you cheat anymore?
Well, you can circumvent the rules on revenue sharing and name, image, likeness.
Yeah, there's a question about does Belichick's experience traveling abroad for NFL games give him any kind of advantage with his team in Ireland? I'll say, I think I'll answer this for you, DG. Maybe under normal circumstances, yes, but with everything else surrounding the program, no.
Yeah, I mean, if it's an advantage, it's a small one. And far more important is whoever has the talent and execution advantage on the field. It is true that it's become a science. There are teams, for example, that have multiple Thursday, Friday games this week, and they have studied both NFL teams that had a lot of non-Sunday games and had a good record in those games, but also college teams that had a lot of non-Saturday games, but a good record in those games. So there's a science to that, and those programs are going to get their brains picked. When did you fly over? How did you fly? Where did you stay? How'd you handle the time change? Like, there's an edge to be had there, but I'd still rather have the talent edge or the execution edge than that one.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to follow up on Kyle's question about how do you cheat nowadays. And that's, I guess, up to NCAA interpretation. How did you feel about Tennessee's linebacker, the all-SEC linebacker that got suspended for 400 and change airline ticket, and then they reduced it to 1 game? It's like they knew that was the wrong call to make, but they wouldn't completely exonerate him. And so he's got to sit out against, I don't even know who it is, but he's available for Georgia Tech.
I don't think I followed that one closely. It's not unusual that if you act like a professional, you get penalized for that. I mean, that's been around for my entire 40 years covering college sports. So without knowing all the details, I'm glad they reduced it all the way to 1 game. He started to act like a professional. He took money from an agent. He had to pay that money back. Missing 1 game is not the end of the world. So maybe that's a happy medium result. My attention, obviously, and my phone rings every day, literally, has been far more on the federal lawsuit that for a short period allowed every 2002 enrollee that still had a 5th year of eligibility remaining. For a while, they were all eligible, thousands of people. Then the NCAA appealed that case, and they didn't win the appeal on the merits, but they got a stay. Well, that means those same thousands of athletes that would have been eligible cannot use the federal path to be eligible. Yep. There's also all these state-by-state court rulings. And now there's the NFL guys trying to come back to college from NFL training camps.
LSU.
So your example, JR, I did follow that to a degree, but these other actual lawsuits have been just truly a part of my day, my week, almost every day, and are going to have much bigger impacts on how college athletics unfolds this year.
Okay, hold on, Carl. I wanted to ask him because it seems like every time DG's on our show, we talk about LSU or Lane Kiffin, but what is the legal aspect of, legally they said that these 3 players were allowed to play because Louisiana had the ruling last week that said that you could go to a pro camp and still play.
But the SEC,
you could even go to the portal if you want. Yeah, but the SEC voted 15-0 because LSU didn't vote that no. And then they came out and said, you're going to lose 50% of your earned revenue, and the head coach will be suspended for 50% of the season if you play any of those players. But what is Lane? Does Lane have anything in his court? I mean, how is this going to unfold?
If I'll put it this way, Lane Kiffin is highly unlikely to accept those NFL players if those repercussions stand. He has bosses at LSU. And they're going to say, we're not giving up that revenue and we're not losing our coach for half the year. So you're not taking tight end Daquan Wright and the other guys involved in that case. But what is going to happen is that the lawyer for those guys who, for those who don't know, they weren't, full-fledged NFL players. They just turned pro, are in NFL training camps, got cut, and now want to come back to college and are trying to use various state court arguments to get back. And the same lawyer is going to go in and say, just as it was illegal for the NCAA to make Daquan Wright and these other returning from the NFL guys ineligible, they're going to say they're going to argue, the lawyers, that it's also illegal for the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12, and I assume the ACC will follow suit as well. All 4 of those leagues have adopted conference rules. The ACC hasn't announced it yet, but I think they're going to do the same thing as the SEC, Big 10, and Big 12. And they're going to say, we as a conference are making a rule that we will not accept these coming back from the NBA, coming back from the NFL, coming back from even the WNBA. So I think the legal argument is going to fail because conferences are going to say, we've always been allowed to have higher standards than the NCAA does. So even if the NCAA can't exclude these players, we can. And you can't accuse us of collusion because we didn't know what the Big 12 was going to do. We don't know what the Sun Belt's going to do. We don't know what Conference USA or the American Conference could start scooping up these NFL guys. Again, as long as that lawsuit holds, guys, it's so fluid. The same guy that we're arguing about, there's another argument in front of a judge this Friday just to see if his preliminary clearance is upheld now that the judge gets full arguments on it. So, I mean, and after that, there could be another appeal. This stuff is crazy. And the time, they're essentially running out of time. These fall semesters have begun academically. Football season's here. Basketball coaches are kind of watch these cases play out because if they don't have an answer until November, that's okay for basketball purposes, right? But for football purposes and all these other sports that are already underway or about to get underway, you know, it's like, what did the last judge say? And guys, as we speak, there are 3 states where the judges say certain guys can't play. And then there are 6 or 7 states where under the same set of facts, the judges are saying the guys can play.
Right.
Why did the NCAA?
So right now, think of this. If you're an athlete involved in this Texas case where you've won, it's on appeal, but for now you've won, you are eligible. But if you were an athlete in same argument, but in like Ohio, Tennessee, and Colorado, those 3, unless you put your name on all the lawsuits, which you can't do, you know, you're stuck with either the bad decision in those 3 states or the good decision in those 7 states, and all of them are on appeal.
Yeah, I was going to bring it back.
Figuring it out.
I was going to bring it back to East Carolina. J.D. Lampley is involved in a lawsuit, state of South Carolina, to try to get a restraining order to make him eligible as part of the class of 22. He was going to be back. The case is supposed to be heard Monday. Gilbert made it sound like, you know, if he wins that restraining order, we're going to get him in school here, late enrollee, and let him play. You know, I don't know if you followed that case, Lampley's situation. What do you think the percentage is, the chances that that lawsuit goes through in South Carolina and those players, including J.D. Lampley, are granted that restraining order?
What about
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. I'll just say this. Anybody relying on the federal case is out of luck. It's a different set of laws. And even though it's on appeal, it's going to take so long for that appeal to play out, they're going to lose their fall semester. If you're one of these like Lampley that's based on a state law argument, you might as well call it 50-50 chance. Or maybe better than 50-50 that the player wins. Because I just mentioned an outline. I think it's 7 states where the player's argument to be eligible is winning. And there are at least 3 states where the player's argument to be eligible is losing. And they're different players, but the facts are essentially the same.
It's crazy.
And, of course, state laws are different, and there's different nuances from this state to that. But, yeah, I mean, I guess you should be cautiously optimistic. But you better follow that case on Monday, just like you got to follow these other cases on Friday. There's a case right here in North Carolina involving other athletes. But
what about the Marlon Guns and Sam Danko? They're not
involved in a lawsuit. No. You got to pay for a lawyer and you got to sue. It's not done for you. And
Donka and those guys were hoping for their eligibility to be tied to that federal case.
Right.
Yeah. All those folks are done. It's not going to happen.
David.
All those who hired lawyers and have their names on
Lampley hedged his bets, Dave.
All right, let me ask a question to David here. Why on earth, why did the NCAA decide to make this announcement with the 5-for-5 in June? Why didn't they make it much earlier so players could hey, I'm not going to go to an NFL camp because I want to go back to school. It would have given everybody more. It's almost like they wanted this whole thing to blow up to protect Sports Act to pass or something.
No, I think that they were late to the game. I think that they knew that the players probably could get it. And then then to say that the NCAA is organized, I mean, they're not organized. And David can tell you, I love the Supreme Court as a body. Let me just say that. But when the NCAA a few years ago lost the name, image, likeness 9-0 That never happens. It's usually 6-3, 5-4. It's never 9. I mean, that is one of the most embarrassing court cases. I mean, you should have your head between your legs on that one. And that's the go ahead.
I got you. No, I was just going to say, but David, why do you think they waited till June?
The bottom line is the NCAA is in many ways a rudderless organization that has people who don't want to be proactive. And most changes in college athletics that we've seen, guys, in our lifetimes, most changes that you've seen have not been the thoughtful thinking ahead and planning ahead of the NCAA decision makers. Most changes have been because the NCAA stuck to a rule, held on for dear life, wouldn't change, wouldn't listen to fairness arguments, wouldn't back down after being threatened to be sued. Then they were sued. Then they kept losing. And then they were forced to change the rules. That's why we have revenue sharing, a court case. That's why we have name, image, likeness, a series of court cases. That's why we have all sorts of things in college sports. It's because the NCAA doesn't think ahead, plan ahead, and do things in an organized fashion. They cling to the way they want it to be and the way it's been until they are forced by a judge or a court decision to change their ways. And, they tried to thread the needle. They argue that, they could have grandfathered the class of 2022 in, right?
Yeah.
Easily.
Yep.
Let's give them a fifth year, just like everybody else is getting a fifth year. Does that take away more opportunities from incoming high school students, et cetera? It does, right? Just numerically, it does. But it's the history of the NCAA is not of a well-oiled machine. It's for a long time, there just wasn't enough money involved for people to file lawsuits and win. It wasn't that the NCAA wasn't violating the law for a while. There just wasn't enough money involved. Now there's tons and tons of money involved. And heck, we just had a lawsuit where Duke University was suing its own starting quarterback for not following through on a 2-year NIL deal. That's how crazy it's gotten. So the odd and ridiculous timing of their announcement was no surprise to me.
JR, about 30 minutes ago, you mentioned Tennessee and the player being suspended for the first game of the year, and you didn't know who that was against. I'll tell you, and it's East Carolina related. It is Jake Garcia and Furman.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yes.
No, Furman's playing
week
Furman's
zero.
week 0. Okay, so
Yeah.
week 1, okay. Furman in Tennessee, right?
Yes. Jake Garcia will throw 25 interceptions.
I'll tell you what, I've heard it from other fans. If your last name is Garcia, please, and your quarterback, please go to another school. So DG, we've had you here for an hour and 18 minutes. We try to keep it to an hour. Can you give us a thumbnail sketch on what your thoughts on as far as the ACC is concerned? I know that there may be some people watching, and I know that Miami is going to be very, very good and probably the favorite this year to win the league. Yeah,
Miami showed last year what it's capable of, making it all the way to the national championship game. They poached Darian Mensah, all-ACC quarterback, from the Duke Blue Devils when they needed a QB. They also got an all-ACC wideout, Cooper Barkade from Duke. They have one of the best young returning players in the league in Malachi Toney, another wide receiver. They have some questions on defense because they lost a lot of guys to the NFL, but 0 outgoing transfers from their entire starting lineup. So they're the favorite. After that, I think SMU is really good again. They have their QB back, Kevin Jennings, even like some preseason Heisman hype for him. They say they didn't lose a single starter that they wanted to return. In fact, Rhett Lashley told me they didn't lose a single player of any kind that they wanted to return to SMU. Louisville has a new quarterback, but otherwise I think the Cardinals are really good as long as their new QB, he's an Ohio State transfer, but was a backup for the Buckeyes for several years. As long as he works out well, I think the Cardinals will be in that top tier as well. And then, there's a half a dozen schools that have a chance. UVA and NC State are 2 of them. They play each other on Saturday. There's a bunch of good but not elite teams in the ACC, so I don't know who will emerge from that sort of upper middle of the pack. But I do think Miami, SMU, Louisville is a good starting point to describe the league this year. And then there are teams at the bottom like Stanford and probably UNC and Boston College and others that aren't going to be very good.
The State, Virginia, Saturday. We talked about UNC, TCU. What do you think about the Cavaliers and the Wolfpack that was originally going to be
in Brazil?
Brazil, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a hard to predict game. I know Virginia's favored according to the Vegas line. The Wolfpack has the better quarterback. CJ Bailey's in his third year as the starter. Bo Prabula is a Missouri transfer who's going to be starting for the Cavaliers. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. And UVA got very good quarterback play last year from Chandler Morris. Mm-hmm. But UVA is one of the most experienced teams in the entire country again this year. That's part of Tony Elliott's philosophy and what helped him go from several bad years as the head coach at UVA to last year's trip to the ACC title game and double-digit win total. The hardest aspect to predict for that game for me is that whereas Dave Doran's talking about his best chance to go to an ACC title game and CJ Bailey says college football playoff or bust and some other big proclamations, NC State's front six is entirely new on defense. So every guy in their front six right now is either in an NFL training camp or is out or exhausted his eligibility last year. That's a tough place to replace. You can find sometimes wideouts and D-backs. It is hard to just, like with your ECU example earlier, it's so exciting that they went out and got 3 proven offensive linemen to go with a couple of returnees. I would sleep better at night knowing that if I'm the offensive coordinator or if I'm Blake Harrell. NC State does have talented transfers coming in, but, their best linebacker was Caden Fordham. He's gone. Their biggest defensive tackle, Brandon Cleveland, he's gone. Those guys are in NFL training camps. So the key to the Wolfpack's entire season, to me, is what do they get from their front six on defense? If they get that, they can be really, really good because UVA this week, guys, and then they play Louisville later, they could be 2 of the 3 hardest games NC State plays all year. Look at the Wolfpack schedule. There is nobody that makes you nervous on the entire schedule. At UVA is not easy. Louisville in Raleigh, not easy. But if they're your 2 toughest games, you have the softest schedule of 14 years of Dave Doran in Raleigh. That doesn't mean you just steamroll everybody, but it at least leaves the door cracked for what would be only the second season in Wolfpack history of 10 or more victories. They've only done it once in their history.
And he's
you think Duke Scott is ready to take over for Hollywood Smothers? I think he is.
Good player. But I think in the end, there's going to be some what-if questions in Raleigh. Because even though they paid to keep CJ Bailey, who never entered the transfer portal, but somehow had other schools throwing money at him anyway. But Hollywood Smothers, all ACC running back, first team, now at Texas. 2 of his best wideouts, CJ Bailey, are now at Alabama and Southern Cal.
Yeah.
So it's not just guys leaving. Those are some dudes leaving, right? Justin Jolie, his favorite tight end, is now in the NFL. So there may be the what if, just like we were talking earlier, NC State is somewhere in the ACC pecking order. It's not Miami and SMU refusing to let anybody poach, come up with big enough financial commitments to poach their starters. They're not at the bottom of the barrel either. NC State's in the middle. But if NC State goes, 8-4, we're going to wonder, could they have gone 11-1 if they hadn't been outbid by Texas and Southern Cal and Alabama for 3 of their best players?
Yeah. They did get left tackle Jamarian McCrimmon from East Carolina, and then they got that edge from Tulane, Nelson. Nelson. So they did get some good ones in, but man, that doesn't make up for what they lost. You're right.
It's a good point. They did very well on the inbound transfer portal, but they got big bites taken out of them, like Duke, on the outbound transfer portal.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer of it's like with coaching. If your coach leaves, you don't need to worry about it. You just need to get the next hire right. I'm the same believer with the portal. somebody leaves, you don't need to worry about it. There's nothing that you can do about it. You just got to make sure you bring in the right guys. And I think East Carolina and State both did that. I wanted to ask you. You mentioned earlier being familiar with Mitch Griffis from his time at Wake Forest. You watch Wake Forest football more than I do. And Emory, who hadn't played nearly as much at Miami as Griffis did at Wake. But particularly Griffis, what do you make of him as a starting quarterback, and particularly in this kind of system, the North Texas style offense from last year?
He's smart. He's going to know that offense inside and out. He's motivated. That's a guy that was working on a construction crew a couple years ago and thought his college football playing career was over. He's about to turn 25 years old. I mean, that's a mature, high knowledge guy who left high school, 7 years ago. But is he an elite talent? No. Does he offer elite size? No. Elite arm strength? No. It's more about what's between the ears. And you can be a very good quarterback with what's between the ears. And I flash back to Wake Forest last year. Wake Forest got barely above average quarterback play all year long, but a smart veteran player who minimized his mistakes and let everybody else try to win the game. Defense, special teams, and his skill players. His name was Robbie Ashford. You're never going to describe Robbie Ashford as much more than a slightly above average quarterback. But minimize your mistakes, be a good leader, know the offense, audible from bad plays into better plays. Help the guys around you become better versions of themselves. Throw the ball away when necessary. Robbie Ashford, just by being that sort of game manager plus, led Wake to a 9-4 season.
Yeah.
It is hard to win 9 games with barely above average quarterback play, and Wake just did it. Now,
I thought Robbie Ashford's an easy guy to root for too. I remember when he was at Auburn and he was supposed to light the world on fire, and it never happened. He didn't even keep the starting job.
But I think that's Mitch Griffis's route to take an ECU where it wants to go, right? Blake Harrell believes he'll have a good defense. Blake Harrell believes that he has built a strong offensive line with the help of those 3 transfers we mentioned earlier. We mentioned the 2 newcomers from North Texas specifically to work under the new offensive coordinator. I think he believes that he has enough help for his quarterback that neither Mitch Griffis nor Emory Williams should feel like they need to be Jeff Blake or some other legendary ECU quarterback. You never want to discourage big passing performances, obviously, but I think the mindset has to be know my offense, limit my mistakes, don't give things away, don't turn the ball over, throw accurately. But there's no position, I don't think, in all of sports that's any more of a between the ears brain and confidence and leadership position than quarterback in football. And that should be what Mitch Griffis is best at.
And this is a heavy screen-based offense.
DJ, I have a question.
Not a big down the field.
Yeah, and I think he can do that.
Yep.
DJ, I've got a question for you. I'm going to make you the head coach of the Pirates. The man on the street question, what we're hearing from on air, off air, at work, at ECU Health Medical Center, at the gas station. Who is going to be QB1 in Alabama? Do you go with Mitch Griffis or do you go with Emory Williams?
I think it'll be Mitch Griffis because in that environment, you want some experience on your side.
Yeah.
And a 25-year-old man ain't going to be have his knees shaking. I know Emory's in his 4th year of college. It's not like he's in diapers, but Mitch Griffis, he's been there, done that in the ACC and to a lesser degree elsewhere. So I'd be surprised if he was not QB1, at least to start the season. And then after that, it's all about grading practice and grading games and who runs that offense better under a new coordinator. That answer could change during the course of the season. And ECU might not be the only school where we see more than one quarterback this year.
And both kids, or I say kids, at 25, and I can't remember how old Emory is, but both guys were incredibly engaging at media day. I came away impressed with them both. Very well spoken. I talked to Emory about things unrelated to football, me and JR, Mitch stayed late, and me and JR, he was the last player there, and we got done with our interview, and JR and him are from the same area, and they had some discussions afterwards, and just very engaging, nice guys. I hope, obviously, I want them both to succeed there at East Carolina, but personally, you like to like your players, and they both seem like really good guys.
No doubt. Well, DG, before we let you go, do you have a national picture, like a Final Four, so to speak, and a national champion in mind? Or I know it's way too early, but
yeah, I haven't even gotten that far. I haven't. Okay. I've written my 7 in-state previews, my 17 ACC previews, and I am doing a show live at the beach down in Wilmington this weekend at a place called Jimmy's Inland. So if anybody's in that part of the state, come see me. Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. We're going to be watching college football at a new bar down there. But yeah, I between now and Saturday, I got to finish my national preview. So, I mean, we all know who's forecasting the top of the polls, but I haven't done a deep dive on those teams outside of our state or outside the ACC. The only ones I've watched closely are actually those that are on the schedules of the teams that we follow. But that certainly leaves out a lot of Big Ten and SEC schools. And we're living in a world where the last 8 years, 4 for the SEC and 4 for the Big Ten. It was fun to see Miami at least play for a title last year because the Canes had not exactly pulled their weight as ACC members over the last 20-plus years. But I think it's going to be fun. It's the transfer era makes it harder to predict because there are so many new players in new roles, and there's just such a smaller number of returning starters than there used to be for a variety of reasons. But I'm just glad the season is almost here, and it's always fun to catch up with you guys as well.
Can we do a quick lightning round? We've got some fans that wanted to speak to you, so
lay it on me.
All right. So Will Landon, what's up, Will? I think he's from the Wilmington area. He said, do you think if UNC went 6-6 with Belichick, they would turn down a bowl bid if they were forced to play the Pirates?
No, they would be so thrilled to play a bowl game in a year where they were just picked, I think, 15th out of the 17 teams in the ACC. They'd be in shock that they went 6-6, and they'd probably be happy to go wherever they go to play anybody they're told to play.
Probably the only way we'd be fired up to go to the Military Bowl yet again if we got Carolina.
Fenway Bowl. But that would be a high pecking order, I think, for then that. Let's see. All right, Kenny Curlings. He's a huge fan of yours. He does, by the way, one of the best tailgates. I think Cooper Greer is a great musician. We're not allowed whenever we have our tailgates to announce who, but he has a good musician, always great food, a great dude. He's asking, Dave, what ECU game will you make it to this season? He's got Friday night at USF, Halloween Temple, game all the charts. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going that David Glenn will be at the home opener against App State. That's my guess. I have no idea.
There'd be nothing better than Greenville on Halloween, DJ.
The Halloween is going to be
I was at Halloween last year. Yeah.
But this is really Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes, true. It is
actually Greenville and 5th Street. I'm hoping it's at least a 3:30 game, maybe a 7 o'clock game, but we'll see.
Kenny, thank you for the kind words. First of all, I will be in Greenville, but we're doing things a little differently with our tailgate tour this year. We're actually at Wake Forest tomorrow. We're going to the beach on Saturday, and because our sponsors have changed and they have different reasons to do different things, we are not projecting a full calendar the way we used to.
Oh, wow.
So in other words, we're making more late decisions like the TV executives do. They don't decide which game is going where and at what time until halfway through the week. We're kind of playing that game as well. But of course, App State playing ECU, when any two of our state's 7 FBS schools play each other, it's on our radar. So that would be one candidate. I personally like heading down to Greenville when it is a Thursday or a Friday game. So those are also candidates. But so much is backtracking, right? Like I hate when, State State Carolina could be the same weekend as App State ECU or something like that. Sometimes that happens and you can't be in 2 places at one time. But that's a long way of saying we don't have our full schedule yet. And when I'm at the beach with my whole staff this weekend, we're going to iron out probably the September games and then wait until later in September to pick our October and November schedules.
If DG's not at the Temple game on Halloween, I'll dress up as David Glenn for Halloween.
There you go. So David Glenn will be there, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sort of, kind of.
A
have you ever
chubby
thought
David
about,
Glenn.
David, I'm speaking on a turn here, but have you ever thought of doing something like a game day, like a North Carolina kind of game day where you have like experts and that? I know you do the tailgate tour. I just always have thought it would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing out that audible.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
we've kicked it around. As with everything, you need the right sponsor to create an economic model, and then you need the right technology to make sure that that live broadcast doesn't go sideways.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So I've always told my teams, if you get those two things ironed out, sponsor and technology, I will either help with the game, statewide version of game day, or I'll host it, or I'll assist it, or I'll produce it, or whatever, or I'll be a guest on it. Doesn't matter to me, but you got to get those first two things done properly before you can think about the rest.
Put Robert Dietrich's comment up there to DG. That's related to his evaluation of the quarterbacks.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Interesting to DG's point, Media Day Mitch talked about throwing the check down to our explosive running backs. Emery talked about the wide receiver.
That's a good point. I mean, maybe that shows you where the guys' minds are, or who knows? Maybe they just hang more. One hangs more with the running backs, the other hangs more with the wide receivers. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But, Miami asked its guys to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Not as much with Carson Beck, but Cam Ward prior to that zinged it all over the place. And Darian Mentz is going to be zinging it all over the place for the Canes this year. So that's where Emory Williams is coming from. But yeah, I think Mitch Griffiths is ready to throw those screen passes Kyle was talking about.
I think Emory has the bigger upside, but I do think Mitch will start the season as quarterback.
But he would still have Emory will still have another year, right?
Correct.
Yes.
For this year. So Mitch is probably this is it.
This is it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm ready to see some
25-year-old seventh-year senior, man. It's definitely done.
I'm ready to see some running backs. We haven't had a running back score a touchdown on a pass play since 2023. I think against. Wow. Yeah, I think it was against Gardner Webb. It was
Gray.
Harris.
Look out for Gray, the transfer from North Texas. He is.
He didn't catch a lot of balls last year though, but he didn't have a lot of sample size either.
Yeah, I really like him. I like him as very charming kid.
Michael Allen, he's a little banged up right now, but he'll be healthy. If not for Alabama, then definitely by App State. Has looked really good in the passing game. So it'd be interesting to see, can Michael Allen return home? He part of the complaints about him over the year at NC State, Marshall, et cetera, was lack of focus and motivation. And since he's been back home in Greenville, he's apparently been incredibly focused and motivated. So it'll be interesting to see, can he live up to those expectations he had years ago, finally, in his last go-around, and apparently catches the ball really well out the backfield.
Hey, it happens a lot. When guys realize this is my last rodeo, they often do better prep leading into that year than ever. And Michael Allen, by the way, is a career 1,000-yard rusher.
There you
go. With his various playing time at State and Marshall.
His problem is not the talent. I think his problem has been that help me out. I think he's been injury prone. I'm not anti him. I'm very happy to have him being a Greenville Rose kid and it's a great story. And I'm hopeful that we can keep him healthy. He stays healthy, takes care of his body. I'm wishing him well. But anyway, so
good lightning round.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate you very much, and give everybody your social media, how they can watch the show on YouTube. Your number, I got to find out how we've been doing well, but like literally one viewer at a time, and your numbers for YouTube just blow me away.
It's crazy, and we owe a lot of thanks to a lot of people, including shows like yours, because we're at almost 75,000 YouTube subscriber, which puts us in the 98th percentile in the world. Not for views, that would be nice, but for actual subscribers, we're in the top 2% in all of YouTube across the world. So we're excited about that. Our social handles include @DavidGlenn where I'm mostly active on Twitter, but also @the NC Sports Net, which is our handle on YouTube and a lot of other social media and Twitter. And then the website, if you forget all the rest, just go to ncsportsnetwork.com, and that has links to information about our tailgate tour, our social media, my articles, including the one I just did on ECU football, but also our on-demand audio, our YouTube channel, and all the rest right there, ncsportsnetwork.com.
All right, DG, thank you so much. I know you're well rested from the sabbatical, out of the country, you're back. And thanks for going way over time as always. And we appreciate it very much going over time. Thank you, my friend.
Good to be with y'all. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
See you later.
See you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Sure.
All right. Great having DG on, especially the night so this is the night before our game and for the games.
For our game.
Well,
yeah, there's some FCS games tomorrow. Yeah.
FCS games. And we also have Martin County against Bertie, the battle for the paddle tomorrow night at 7:00 right here. And we're working out everything. So want to mention that, but let's talk some week 0 games before we get out of here or whatever you want to talk about.
Is your audio going to be good for the battle for the paddle, Dave?
We're fine. Yes, we're fine.
You're going to be good. All right. Just want to make sure.
I'll tell you guys, it's embarrassing. I'll tell you guys out there.
Okay. Good. So everybody tune in to listen to Martin County versus Bertie, the battle for the paddle. And here's the thing. If Martin County loses, Bertie actually spanks Dave with the boat paddle. So
nice.
you choose who you want to win there.
Wow. Yeah, well, I want Martin County to win for that reason. But anyway, we're excited about Johnny. You got a pick for as far as week 0. I know that you know the matchups better than I do. What are you looking for?
I mentioned North Dakota State and Jacksonville State last week, so I don't know that I'll mention it. It's North Dakota State is going to be in the Mountain West. Jacksonville State, it's won 2 straight Conference USA. Been in 2 straight Conference USA title games. So, both of those teams could win their conference. So I'll be interested to see North Dakota State's first FBS game. But the one I'm also looking at that wouldn't appear to be that interesting is Sacramento State at Eastern Michigan. This is Sacramento State's first game in the MAC. It's actually a conference game, obviously, because they're playing Eastern Michigan. But Sacramento State, they paid $20 million to the MAC to be accepted into their league, and they pay for everybody's travel expenses. And, so luckily they only have 5 home games because, I would imagine that they're going to have to start winning some games and be really competitive to try to make this work financially. But here's their reason. I'll go over this real quick. Okay, so they're saying that they have less than 1% out-of-state students, 99 point something are from in-state, and so in-state students pay less than $8,000 a year.
Wow!
And most of them commute. Out-of-state is $20K a year, and then they have to pay for housing. So they're really trying to boost that less than 1%. They want to get it to 10%. At least 5 or 6%, and so they're putting all their money into with the football program to try to generate some national interest. I'm rooting for them really, but it's a very unique situation, and they have a completely new team. Everybody left last year. The coach went to be the OC at Colorado. They're running a different offense. They have all new players. It's going to be. I'm just really interested to see how they come out of the chute there against. A bad MAC team.
Wait a minute.
Eastern Michigan is they had 3 losing seasons in a row, I think.
Is Chris Creighton had 3 losing seasons in a row? He's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, I think they have.
I have to check on that. Sacramento State wanted to join the Pac-12. They wanted to join the Mountain West. They were told no by both. I'm a little surprised they ended up in the MAC. Conference USA seems to make a lot more sense to me. You got New Mexico State out there. You got Sam Houston State out there. I'm surprised they didn't take that 20 mil, or maybe they just would have rather been in the MAC, but it sure seems like CUSA would have been a better fit. Better TV exposure in the MAC, and maybe that's what they're hoping for. It's the TV exposure. They win enough games, Mountain West or Pac-12 becomes interested. But Chris Creighton's a great coach. I did not realize that Eastern Michigan been on the downward trajectory like that. But
that's your coach.
Yeah. Well, he's a hell of
I
a
know
football.
they were 4-8 last year. They were 4-8 last year.
Yeah, I have to check the previous 2 years, but I think Eastern Michigan will blow them out. Honestly.
Okay, they were 5-7 the year before that. Because I know I checked my numbers. And they were six and seven the year before that. So they
There
have
you
3
go.
losing seasons.
All right, we got a question.
Weatherby's still the AD up there at
He is.
Eastern Michigan.
Yes, he is.
That's what I
Yep.
figured.
Drew Bassnight says maybe a question for next show. Special teams thoughts. Are we confident with Conrad O'Halloran? Kyler Pearson is back, correct?
Yep.
How do we see that operating?
Yeah, Pearson's been banged up. The Aussie's going to be the punter. Blake seems to be confident in him. Conrad's supposed to be a lot better. We'll see.
Yeah, I got notes on all the special teams. I'd have to run into my office to get them, but I think we can delay it to next week. But Conrad has done some amazing things. He's done some amazing things already in his career. So I mean, I'll trust Conrad if he's the starter. I feel good about it. Not going to really worry about kicker too much.
No, I think from top to bottom, as far as the depth chart, when you look at both sides of the ball and special teams, as Ruff and McNeil talked about the third side of you, I really think the Pirates. I've said it all along. We're going to be good. There is a difference between good and great. I do think we're going to have. I've said it all along. To me, 9-3 is a good season. I know some people in Pirate Nation would say a great season, but I think that when we were back in Scotty Montgomery times, it was like a bowl seemed to be so out of reach, and then we
9-3 regular season with a bowl win, 10 wins is a great season. We've had exactly two seasons with 10+ wins in the modern era. So
91 and 2013.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that what we're looking for is we'll take it. We're not going to obviously, but what we're looking for is to climb that mountain now to winning a conference championship and obviously being in the playoff. Not to say that we wouldn't be happy with a 10-win season. I'm just saying that the good news is not like that's something that is not obtainable. We can see that we're very close to that double-digit win season.
But Dave, we've seen it in the past. We've seen we're supposed to be good. We seem to be good. But there's always a disappointment somewhere in there. I'm just
2001, in my opinion, and I love Coach Logan, I love David Garrard, Jamie Wilson, all those guys. 2001 is by far, in my mind, the most disappointing season that we've had.
I'm just telling you, I reserve my right to say this, but we always talk about, hey, we're going to have a good season. We're going to have a good season, and we always end up disappointed. I'm just telling you, that's the fear in the back of my mind. So I'm just saying, hey, till they put the ball down, I'm going to reserve that right.
I think, Justin, to your point, to expand on it, and it's something I've been saying all along, and it's kind of what DG said. Too many question marks on offense. To say, definitely 9-3 or definitely 10-2, or even definitely 8-4. I mean, the offense has to come together, and we got 3 tough games to open the year. Now, would I be shocked if we didn't at least win 7 games? Yeah, I think that would be an epic disaster. My official prediction is going to be 8-4. I think 9-3 is very realistic. But to your point, Justin, we're supposed to be. A lot of people are saying we're going to be good based on last year, and last year, except on defense, hadn't got a lot to do with this year.
Look how many we lost.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the offense is going to have to come together. I love the pieces on offense. It ain't like you look at the offense and you go, there's no pieces there. It ain't like you look at the scheme and go, that scheme sucks. My concern about it is just how fast it's going to come together. Is it going to come together in game 1, game 2, game 3, or is it going to be game 6? And look, here's the thing. I think our defense is good enough that if the offense isn't clicking 100% against App, against ODU, against Rice, against Central, that we could still win a majority of those games in close ball games. But, who knows? The offense may click like it did, game 1 with Lincoln Riley. It took half the season and a quarterback change for it to click under JDB with a whole lot more returning players. So, and I'm with you. I think cautiously optimistic. There, is the way
There's
to
too many.
be.
There's too many question marks, Kyle.
Well, I'll tell you
Can
my
this
question.
team be
Yeah, go
good?
ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
Yeah, can this team be good? Yes, but there's just too many question marks. I mean, yes, we can be 10 wins, 11 wins, or we could be an easily 8 wins, 7-win team. I mean, there's just too many question marks there. And until the ball's put on the field, you just don't know.
Well, that's
I
true.
don't think we're going to really. And apparently Blake said this, Jr. According to you on satellite radio, I don't think we're really going to know what we are until week 2. I don't know.
Bingo.
Unless we really play well against Bama. Now, if we really play well against Bama, hey, good on you. But you're probably really not going to know what we are until week 2, and then against App, and that's
But
and hopefully, no matter what, even if we're like the offense is struggling, we're coming away with a W. I wouldn't be surprised if that App State game looks a lot like the ODU game from 24.
But my question is, guys, how much do we show versus Alabama? Do we put all our cards in to try to beat
You got to
Alabama?
run your offense.
You got to.
Or do we hold back for App State? I mean, that's the question I've got is how much do we
you got to go.
I mean,
That's a losing. Yeah, that's a losing.
Yeah, I tell you what I'm worried about on the offense is not learning the new offense. I hate the fact that we don't have a go-to tall receiver. All of our receivers are small. Now we got quarter minute. He's the freshman, is 6'2", but Jeremiah Melvin apparently had a really good scrimmage on Saturday. He's 6'4", and his hands are enormous, and his arms are long. If that dude can really keep developing, and he can be a go-to on the outside, I feel a lot better about our offense. And then we also got Jakeith Hamilton, that's I think above 6 feet. Other than that, everybody else is 6 feet or smaller. So, I'm looking forward to some of these larger receivers contributing.
Let's talk to Alan Vick. He's like E.F. Hutton when people talk. When he talks, people listen. So you and I have been around for a long time with this program, and we've seen some really good football and we've seen some really bad football. But you were at Media Day. You've been to so many press conferences and you've eaten good food, bad food, mediocre food. What's your thoughts on how are you feeling, Alan?
I got to say, I enjoyed Media Day. I was very impressed with Mitch Griffiths, just to his maturity. I just, obviously you got to get it done on the field, but just watching the kid, watching his body language, he's very confident. I think we got two good quarterbacks. I'm with JR. One of the biggest question marks for me is the receiver size. We got a lot of small guys, but they're shifty, and if they can catch a ball in traffic, Brock Spalding is going to be Brock Spalding. He's going to be solid. There's some question marks. I'm with all of you guys. 7-5 would not shock me, nor would 9-3 shock me. I'm tired of talking, not with you guys, but I'm just tired of talking about it. I'm ready to see some.
I hear you, Alan.
JR, to your point, Alan's point about the receiver size. JR, do you happen to know how big the receivers were at North Texas?
Well, we got Landon Sides, who was not big. Their big dude, big meaning got most of the receptions.
I meant height-wise.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking he was like 6'1".
Okay, so then it fits the offense to have short receivers.
Yeah.
It's what
do you not want to? I don't care if it fits the offense or not. If you don't have someone that can get it on a fade route in the end zone,
50-50 ball.
Yeah, I agree with you, and hopefully Melvin will be that guy. But I think the majority of what they want is undersized guys who for the screen game. But hopefully Melvin can be that guy. He certainly looked that way in the spring game, or excuse me, the scrimmage.
Do we have that tough guy that can go across the middle and make that catch on 3rd and 7?
I mean, Brock Spalding can do that.
Yeah, and Dylan Lorick, Dylan Lorick too.
The middle of the field last year seem to be wide open. Like if that cross routes, they're right in the middle. And like you said, when you throw that pass and you know that hit is coming, do you?
Well, it was because last year, under what JDB liked to do, he liked to. It was go fast, run, boom, hit you with the big play over the top. So lots of times people left the middle of the field open because they were more worried about manning us up and protecting the deep ball. You'll probably see a completely different defensive approach against this offense.
Yep. Let's hey, what's up, Will? Thank you so much. He asked a question to me. Dave, what position do you see Jordan Matheson playing ECU?
Linebacker.
Just saw some tape on him
Linebacker.
from the North Pig game. He looks like a man among boys. He will definitely play linebacker. He had 4 touchdowns this past week on Monday, or this past game Monday night. And I'll tell you guys, a little concerned there early on, but what happened, hopefully it's okay to say, he had a nosebleed. It was nothing major. It was a nosebleed, and they were having to work on him to get the nosebleed to stop. And he still scored 4 touchdowns. So the dude is very special, and his he's been raised right. So he's got an amazing, not only amazing
nephew of Pernell Griffin. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And he's a guy that's going to come in. He's like 6'1", 210. Johnny's the recruiting guy, not me. But he's 6'1", 210. He is extremely athletic. And the way I've always described him for the last couple of years, on offense, you get a direct snap. If you need 3 yards, give him the ball and get the hell out of the way. That's the way.
7 touchdowns tomorrow night against Bertie.
Bertie is very bad. Bertie is very bad.
Hey, y'all's game got moved to what, tomorrow night?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow night right here at 7 o'clock on the Sports Objective.
Yeah, you can follow Matt all season long. We'll have the Sports Objective is going to have all Martin County's games, so you can follow Jordan Matheson all season as he gets ready to become a Pirate next year, right here on the Sports Objective. Typically Friday night, although the first 2 games Monday and Thursday. Did Bertie play Monday?
Yes, they got beat
66 to nothing.
Okay, I was going to see if they had any kind of advantage if they played Friday, but both teams played Monday, turn around, play Thursday. It's an incredibly short week for both teams, but at least both teams have to do it.
And Friday.
Yeah, speaking of tomorrow night, my game I still got changed to tomorrow night. I have a Pitt County rivalry tomorrow night. I have Farmville Central and South Central tomorrow night down in Farmville Central.
Oh,
that's a good one.
That's going to be a great ball game.
So Wildfire will be working at Farmville Central tomorrow night.
I heard Wildfire's going to throw. If you're a Farmville Central fan, look out because Wildfire's going to be throwing a lot of flags on Farmville.
No, I am working umpire. My foot is killing me. The less flags I throw, the better off I'm going to be. So keep it clean.
Farmville Central got down big against Washington and Brian Pascal and scored with just a couple seconds left and beat Washington 32-31.
I don't know if you saw the score. Eastern Wayne beat Goldsboro 77-0.
Yeah, we
That's
saw
unbelievable.
that.
That's unbelievable.
And it could have been. Look, and it's one of them personal things between Eastern Wayne and Goldsboro. So I mean, look, we could have ran the score up, but like I said, we pulled it back a little bit there. But
77 to nothing is not a point. Oh my God!
Well,
That's not running the score up.
You guys got to understand the little rivalry between Eastern Wayne and Goldsboro. It's a little bit of a personal thing.
Yeah, like I told you, Justin, if a few calls went the Goldsboro's way, that could have easily been a 60-point game.
It
wasn't as bad as it looked.
The Whitehead in that game was actually a former operations guy at East Carolina, so I can't say no.
And then to answer your question, Drew, no, we will not. I haven't even seen that thing yet. There's going to be some mobile tailgate thing that's going to be field level that can be moved around. That was
on Igo's show the other day. Horsey Colors with Gilbert, Yeah, but
I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, and it's going to be weird. But supposedly it's like a mobile stage kind of ordeal where they.
At what venue?
At Ficklen.
Oh my goodness!
It'll be in the end zone.
But as Gilbert pointed out, if it's successful, we can take it to Clark LeClaire. We could.
That's true. Yes.
You can purchase it for the game. Or he said if somebody wants to pay enough, they can purchase it for the entire season.
Kyle, can you tell tell me a little bit more about it? What is it exactly?
That's all I know. Yeah.
Johnny Robertson.
Do you know more about it? Do you know more about it, Justin?
From what I understand, it's kind of like it's like a mobile stage kind of ordeal where they can take it from area to area. For the season, it's right at over $1.2 million, I think, for the season.
Oh yeah,
What I've
Alan,
been
Vic, and
told.
I are gonna. Alan, can you go in halfsies with me?
Rub my neck.
But what goes on the stage? I don't get it.
It's sort of like tables and seats and all that good stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's like a bar. There's like a
no
bar
polls
there.
or anything like that.
I thought my mom.
The cheerleaders and the dance team will be performing for you personally if you get that stage.
It's got hey, look, it's got a stripper pole on it. I mean, you know.
Okay.
I knew.
All right.
Yeah, I knew we were going. We're 2 hours in.
And look, I've got it for. I've offered to pay for one game for the sports executive to be there. So we.
No, you haven't.
Will TSO be purchasing the tailgate venue?
No, that's what I just answered that question. No, we will not.
Well, Alan is so stingy. Get off your damn money, Alan, and help us out, bro.
Yeah, well, you know where I work, Dave. So I wipe my.
Hey guys, we've been going for over 2 hours, but I want to say this, and I'm going to wrap myself up. You guys keep talking all night if you want to.
Me too.
But week 0 starts tomorrow night with the FCS. Then Saturday you have FBS and more FCS games. Looking forward to the ones that JR mentioned: Eastern Michigan, Sacramento. I think North Dakota State, Jacksonville State is interesting.
When's Memphis and UNLV play, guys?
Saturday night, 10 o'clock Eastern. I believe it's 10 o'clock Eastern. It's late on Fox. Memphis UNLV will be a good one. Carolina, TCU, Virginia, and NC State. So it's a lot of intriguing FBS matchups on Saturday.
I got one for you, Kyle. I want your opinion on this. So last season, Hawaii started the season with a last-second win against Stanford, and then they finished the season with a last-second bowl game victory over Cal. Now they got Timmy Chang's offense cranking up. And they have their schedule. I'm telling you, I'm worried that Hawaii could get some mention for the Group of 6 playoff spot if things go their way. So that's going to be an interesting game. They're playing at Stanford this year. So that's one I'm interested in, just to see what Hawaii has.
It is an interesting game. Hawaii's getting a lot of positive mentions. Stanford got better as the year went on last year. Give me Hawaii, but in a close one. Gilbert keeps talking. Yes, he did. He alluded to we are close, and from what I understand, I like this. We've had a lot of offers, but he wants a certain dollar amount for that patch, and he didn't want to keep out.
I will comment on that. I've heard Grady White.
Well, you won't comment on it, but you've heard Grady White.
Oh my goodness!
I'm not going to put that on the record.
Okay, but you just did. Yeah, I'm not going to put that on the record, but I've heard Grady White.
Kyle, unofficially.
Justin, when you say something and it's live on the podcast, it's on the record. But, good Lord. But yeah, he said we're close to a deal, but it's not done yet. So,
and who was that with again, Justin?
It's not on the record. It's not on the record.
Oh my God, you made my night. You made my day, my night, maybe my week, Justin. That was
that's my job, guys. That's my job.
All right, here's another one real quick. And by the way, last call, because we're trying to get out of here. Last call. If you have anything, make it quick. We're going to do a lightning round. Matt Redmond says he said the rounding up on concessions option was too tricky, but they were going to have a raffle, discount cards, and a trailer rich people can rent.
That's the stage thing he's talking about.
Yeah,
He described it as a trailer. So I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's a stage or a trailer. But anyway, yes. Put his comment back on there. There was something I wanted to specify. Mentioned. He said there was. We approached our
Mr. Beast.
No. The people we do the food with.
Aramart.
About rounding up for revenue. So in other words, if your total is $20.56, you round up to $21. That change goes to revenue sharing. Aramart did not want to do that because they said it would be too tricky with their bookkeeping. It's easy to round up, but once money gets dispersed back, So that's something they're still working on. But as of right now, Aramark doesn't want to do it.
You would
I
think
wouldn't think that would be too tricky. I mean, from a bookkeeping perspective,
I,
but
that's what Gilbert said. Aramark said.
And Matt says allegedly is the word wildfire on whatever that company was. This is a good company in Greenville, Pitt County.
Yeah.
By the way, Drew says, thanks, guys. Pleasure as always. Getting close to Pirate football.
Indeed.
No doubt. We're ready for it.
Yeah.
Tricking.
Can I say something to Drew?
Yeah.
Okay, so Drew posted on Facebook about having the white helmet against Alabama, and in my head, it was early. I hadn't had my coffee yet. I said, "Yeah, that's our new away uniform." But our new away uniform for the season is white, and purple helmets with the ECU flying ECU, right, Kyle?
I don't think
know
it's
that
going to be a
there's
white
an
helmet.
official. I don't know that there's an official helmet to go with the away uniform.
No.
Okay, so if it's white, white,
yeah, we
yeah,
can do
I
all
commented.
white. I think you'll see a combination. I think you could see a triple white. It just depends on the away game. I'm really looking forward to seeing those white jerseys with purple helmets and purple pants.
Me too.
Guys, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm thinking it's gonna be purple helmets with the white on white. Honestly.
That's what I think.
In Tuscaloosa?
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's not gonna be the white helmets.
That off the record?
I love our.
That's what we've seen already, right?
Our white motor.
I don't know. I'm speculating on that one.
Our white
I'm
modern throwback helmets with the script pirates are great. I love those.
Yeah,
I love that.
That would look great.
And
I think actually Matt Semenza really loves these uniforms. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Matt does not like the new uniforms, and we were like, "Well, they're similar to your old uniforms." And then he let the cat out of the bag. He never liked his uniform.
He liked the home.
The
uniform.
home, but not away. Yeah,
right.
Something we've never done is a gold helmet. I've always wanted to see a gold.
There was speculations too.
Hey, what about a gold? Here's one idea I have on that, because I have to say I'm a big fan of purple, and I'm okay with the gold, but. How about, would you guys like a gold helmet with like a pirate, the purple? Well, it wouldn't be purple.
Are we talking Georgia Tech gold, or are we talking gold that's like yellow?
Our gold, yellow gold.
Our gold.
I've designed one, and if you do like a yellow chrome with our logo, with the skull and crossbone, our traditional modern logo, huge on the side of that helmet, it would look badass.
So about that, about 2 years ago, I was talking to a couple of guys on the equipment staff, and they said that the issue was that they had a gold helmet, but they could never get that color to match, to look right.
Okay.
It was very hard to get the gold to actually match.
That's why you don't match. You go with a high gloss, chrome, shiny gold helmet. Yellow gold. You make it as bright as you can, like we did the stupid jerseys. Do it with the helmet, make it sparkly with the reflector paint. I'll make it again on AI and show y'all. You'll love it.
Hey, by the way, Johnny.
Yep.
How many of you guys remember the NC State 2004, the last game with John Johnson, the highlighter?
Don't remind me, Dave.
It was like all. You remember that? It was like all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's too late.
I love
too
the
late.
idea.
Wildfire. It's on the record.
It's all gold.
I love the idea of a yellow jersey or gold jersey or whatever you want to call it, but it needs to be done right. In my head, I know what I think it should look like, but that doesn't mean it would translate for everybody else. The helmet, I'm gonna recreate that helmet again, and I'm gonna probably put it on our social media.
Yeah, do that. Hey, how about this, guys? And we'll get out of here, I promise. How about Kyle? Because he does a great job with, and I'm not just kissing his.
Yeah, he does.
He does a great job with I would love to see you just play around, because we're looking for any kind of content right now. As Alan said, we're tired of talking, but I think it would be cool to do some throwback jerseys, like from way back that we've never seen. Some that we're more familiar with, some more modern. I would just like to see that, because I will say this: Adidas has done a great job, in my opinion, way better than Nike, and I love Nike, but Adidas has done a better job with the uniforms, in my opinion. Not only
some that I would like to see throwback, the old the Pirates with the sword in the mouth.
The 70s Pirates.
The 70s.
Yeah, we did that helmet. We did that helmet for one.
Well, that was
I think it was Old Dominion.
Yeah, that one time. I'd like to see that.
It was late. Who was it against?
You can buy that helmet on
like a
eBay
late
right
November
now.
game. Cincinnati,
Yeah, it was
maybe?
late. It was no.
Hold on, I'll tell you who it
was
is.
a black
'Cause it's
helmet.
on eBay.
Yeah, if we wore it against ODU, that wasn't the only time it was late in the season. God, Damani, I can't remember who it was against or what year it was. It was Houston was here like 21, 22, and it was late in the season.
For me, like I would like to honor like the Pat Dyer or the Steve Logan era. I'm not saying to have the whole season like that. I'm just saying sprinkle them in, be creative, sprinkle, and they are. I'm not criticizing them, Adidas or the outfitters that help Adidas, but I just would like to see. There were people that were before my time.
Tulsa.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You got. In fact, thank you, Drew. I wish I had something to give you, brother. He said Tulsa. He had it. Nailed it. All right, guys.
Wow.
Do you have anything
Good job,
before we
Drew.
get out here?
Just
I'll
looking
start with
forward
Alan.
I was literally talking.
I didn't hear you.
Looking forward to FCS football kicking off tomorrow night.
All right, Alan.
High school football, sports objective, Martin County, Bertie tomorrow night, and then DH Conley and Northeastern tomorrow as well, 7 o'clock, Hollywood Crossroads.
All right, Johnny Robertson, JR. In fact, if you're just joining us, our studio is now named the Johnny Stats Robertson Studios. At least this
temporarily.
Okay.
Alan, I'm gonna test you, Alan. Saturday night, college football or Daytona? I'll be tuning into Daytona. I'll tell you that right now.
I'll have one TV on the race and 2 TVs on college football. Literally.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Everybody party at Alan Vick's house. All right, Wildfire, I know you got something for us. What you got, brother?
I'm going to echo Alan Vick. If you don't have anything else to do in Pitt County, Farmville Central and South Central tomorrow night, and East Wayne and Charlesville Yaycock. Great night of high school football tomorrow night, Alan.
Yep, and our buddy Dugan Lloyd has left Channel 7. We hate to see him. What a fabulous young man Dugan is, and I'm proud of him and love him to death. And I know he's going to do big things, and I think he's going back to Pennsylvania.
So was that young lady his replacement?
No, he's going.
Haley.
Haley.
Haley. Yeah, he's going back to Connecticut. He's going to
Haley Hollinger.
Yeah, that's right. Connecticut.
But you guys have a good call tomorrow night. Like I said, look forward to catching up with you guys next week.
Yep, and hey, keep me up to date on scores with the Farmville Central, South Central. That's going to be a close one.
And we'll give you the same
I hope
thing.
So too. I had North Duplin and Southside on Monday, 28-14. Southside killed themselves with a couple of interceptions late, but it was a great game. Great game.
And Alan, how often do you want me to text you the Martin County score?
You and Wes can text it as much to me as you would like.
Okay.
I'll try to look if I can. If we go back to the locker room at halftime, I'll try to text you guys the score at halftime.
Yeah, if I can remember, I'll text you some FCS scores if y'all want them.
Yeah, Wildfire won't text during the game.
All right, guys, had a great time with David Glenn. Thank you, Johnny Robertson. Thank you, Alan Vick, Wildfire. Stevie, he'll be back with us, I think, on Sunday night. And
he's had a rough day. He lost a friend. Thoughts and prayers with Stevie.
Wow, that sucks. All right, we'll get out of here. Rest in peace, Dolly. Rest in peace, Tim Curry, who died apparently today. There's so many people passing away that we grew up with. So we could go on hours that we don't have. So we'll talk about that maybe on Sunday. But we'll get out of here. Guys, we'll be back on Sunday night at 8. And join us tomorrow at 7 for the high school game.
When next we speak, it will be game week.
All right.
There you go.
There you go. Good night, everybody. Go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.